What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You're watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to talk real quick about I had an idea. I had a concept in my mind that I had received, right? And then I was thinking too, I was like, okay, I guess this is actually kind of speaking on that Jupiter and Aries energy. I was like, oh, and the whole idea was, you know, it was going to be the tangent I was going off, because like it's like I get a topic and then I just let my mind go, right? So what it was going to be is the gift of conflict, because I was thinking, I was like, you know, thinking of a recent situation, and it's like, you know, in times of like where you got to take action on things. You know what I'm saying? You gotta kind of, whether it's you taking action, because see, when we get frustrated, right? Frustration, things that get us riled up, you know what I'm saying? Things that are kind of like our fight or flight mode, really the fight, you know what I'm saying? More so fight, all that energy is coming from Mars, you know what I'm saying? Mars, and Mars is, you know, home in Aries and home in Scorpio, exalted in Capricorn, you know, all the astrology shit. But just, you know, that energy in general, you know, your ability to go to war, to handle conflict, to, you know, whether it be something that you need to, you know, how it relates to, you know, Scorpio energy and Pluto. It's like, you know, Pluto is power and control, but you know, Pluto decided to link up with Mars, you know what I'm saying? Because Mars is Mars has the ability to, you know, take power over something, to try to overpower something, or to increase one's own power level, to be able to um at least engage, because that's really what Mars is about. It's about engagement. So engagement isn't always conflict, you know what I'm saying? Like, conflict isn't always negative. It's the ability to engage, you know what I'm saying? Engage with something, whether it be in opposition, something to going against you, or to engage with, say you have a dream or an idea, a goal of yours. You know, we engage with our own goals based upon how we choose to attack and approach whatever we choose to do in life, because that's the core of it too. Intentions, you know what I'm saying? What you intended to do. A lot of times the intentions is a lot more than what you actually did. What were the intentions? And even though sometimes it plays out in ways where even if you had the best intentions, you know, it won't always be received well. That doesn't mean that it's going to be received well. But when you look and see, you got to think a little bit more broad or long term when you think about something being received well. Because say you had the right intention, you put out an energy, it wasn't received well. However, in that moment, right, that's a momentary thing, you know what I'm saying? You just see the immediate reaction. But let's say over time though, it turns out that things were actually moving in your favor, but you had to experience a certain amount of conflict in which you were being tested. And that energy, that whole conflict, and your ability to handle that kind of uncomfortable situation, because I feel like that's really when Mars is activated. Mars is activated. Well, everything is a positive and negative end. So Mars gets activated when there's something in the way of what it wants, something in the way of its goals, its desires, or its intention, something in between its intention. I intended to do this, however, it's not actually, I'm not able to get there due to whatever is in my path. Mars kicks in, it's like, okay, now I must engage with whatever is in my path in order to either overpower it, or maybe I need to retreat and re-strategize, you know what I'm saying? Because Mars learns from conflict, and that's the heart of this video, is like, you know, what we learn through conflict. Because see, with conflict, a lot of times in this lifetime, right? I mean, not everybody's like this, but say you have certain energies, you chose to come here in a certain frequency. Say you chose to come here as like within the Libra energy, or you have more Venus placed, you know, Venus, you have more of a Venus tone to your energy, you know what I'm saying? Because when we looking at our natal chart, right, we know that that's not a prison cell, you know what I'm saying? So it's not about, you know, like diminishing your own power to fit the narrative that was given to you, because it's still a narrative when we talk about just going along with cookie cutter astrology, like the shit that you read on the internet, horoscope shit. You just take that at face value. You're not actually doing the spiritual work, which is the self-discovery, going within yourself and finding the essence of your energy. See, these different zodiac wheels, it's just a spectrum of the many different rays of light that ended up coming down here in ways that we can emit that light. So you might be a Libra, but you fall within a certain specific spectrum of that Libra energy, because there's other mixes and influences that your spirit chose to grab onto in order to make your own unique concoction of energy. And see, that becomes your energy signature. The better you can hone in on that and tap into experiences outside of just this lifetime. And that's when you really get into the deep spirituality of things. But see, when we're talking about, so that being said, everything is a spectrum. Saying things aren't just that. But my point being, say you came here in the energy of like a Libra or just Venus, Libra, Taurus, and then Pisces, where Venus is exalted. Say you came here with more of those energies, or say you had more Cancerian energies where Mars actually falls at. Let's say you had just any energy, right? Or just you a spirit who just is like, I don't really fuck with conflict like that. The thing is, you still deal with conflict. That's the thing you got to remember. Even if you don't like conflict, you still have to deal with it, because see, Mars is the energy. The energy is engagement. So even if you aren't necessarily angry and aggressive, you're still engaging with something. And what you choose to do in that moment is dependent on how you get with the get down. You know what I'm saying? How you get with it, how you move with it. How do you respond and engage with conflict? Because conflict is inevitable, because you have inner conflict with yourself based upon just you feeling uncomfortable one day. That's inner conflict with yourself, and that's you engaging in that energy anyway. But let's say you came here in an energy that doesn't really like to deal with engagement. See, you might develop a psyche that chooses to let things pass, right? So maybe you become passive aggressive, right? This is you choosing to engage in a way where you're not actually effectively communicating your uncomfortability. Therefore, it's like you're basically telling the universe that you enjoy the feeling of not quite being understood, or you enjoy the feeling of your intentions being blocked. So it's like this might be something small that you do in your life, but you don't realize how it actually reverberates into other areas in your life. You wonder why you can never get the job position you want, or why whatever art that you create is never never reaches a certain engagement with the world. So you wonder why you can't reach a certain space within a gift or a talent. Pay attention to how you engage with different energy, with conflict itself, really with conflict. But it's engagement on all levels. How do you engage with things in your life? But the key is to look at the things that you deem as difficult to deal with, because that's the real test of Mars. Is like, what do you do when things get to a point that you just can't deal? Because some people choose to rise to the occasion. They go all out in their Mars energy, or some people already overshoot their Mars energy. Let's say they get in too excited, so they exhaust themselves when they engage with conflict, to the point of self-destruction or the burning of bridges, and that's self-destruction in itself, because we know we also live in a world that has other energies. And the other side of Mars is that Venus energy. So with that Venus energy, and I say the other side, not necessarily opposite, and I say that because you look at the different areas in which Venus is positioned at, right? Taurus and Libra, and then look at its opposition to the Mars signs, which is Aries and Scorpio. So it's just the other side of it, but not necessarily the opposite. Because when we think of things as opposite, we get a little too it's like you kind of you lose the aspect of balance. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to get lost in the oh, that's good or that's bad. It's not really that. It's like it's just different sides of things and different ways to look at it, different perspectives. Where a Venus ruled sign would look at certain situations and say, well, sometimes dealing with, engaging with something isn't always the best way. Sometimes we need to be more internal and more understanding, more willing to learn, either learn about what it is that we're about to engage with, learning how to harmonize with it. That's kind of like learning how to harmonize with it is kind of like when you are willing to listen. You know, there's certain people who, you know, they talk but they don't listen, you know, so they're throwing ideas at you. And then there's other people who choose to kind of sit and listen first and process and then engage. You know what I'm saying? Those are people who like to kind of internalize, okay, what is this person actually saying, and then engage, and then choose to engage based upon that. So, you know, there's different ways of even engaging when it comes to the Venus energy, but, you know, it's a little different. I don't want to get too split up and talk about too many different things, but, you know, it's like the point being, with more of a Venus rule sign, so you can become passive aggressive, right? You can, but the thing about Venus is good for, actually, I guess this is a good point. Venus is good for harmonizing in the sense of being able to understand somebody else's process, being able to, you know, from the Pisces end where it's exalted, right? It's on an emotional level. On the Libra end, harmonizing is basically, you know, being able to relate. So able to initiate new ideas based upon what they are receiving. It's like how it actually happens, I feel like, is when, you know, say you're dealing with this dude over here taking a piss, bro. That shit that's crazy as hell. I'm like, nigga, that shit was weird. But for the most part, right? So when we're dealing with Libra energy, harmonizing and relating is more of, you know, when we're talking about different ideas. So it's the ability to kind of come up with a new idea based upon information that it's gained, because it's more information based. Where Venus and Pisces, like the Pisces energy, that type of Venus is more like on an emotional level, where, you know, based upon body language, having a connection with another individual, being able to understand them. And see, harmonizing and relating is more about understanding. It's more about taking what somebody is doing, right? Instead of engaging first, it's more of a taking in. Like, I'm taking that in and I'm seeing where I can appreciate it and where I can't appreciate it. It's seeing where it's like, okay, I see why you value, like, for instance, like a more Venus level, like Venus energy based person, right, will be more willing to let somebody just kind of talk their shit and choose to, instead of engaging with them, because Mars is a very forward energy. It's a putting me first energy. So it's kind of like, fuck you, you know, who cares what you talking about? I mean this. So say you in an argument, one person's like, you know, this is my perspective. A Mars-based person is going to engage with that with either going, well, no, this is my point though. I don't care what your point is. You know, that's your shit. This is my point. You know, almost like fuck your point. But even if they don't say that, I think I was getting on this point where it's like some people talk and don't listen. Venus is like listening. Venus is the individual who's gonna, you know, this is my perspective. Venus will say, okay, you know, based upon what you're telling me, I can tell that you value this and that you value this. And these might be your reasons for why you go about doing things in the way you do them. So that's where the compromising happens. It's willing to then go inside and be like, okay, I understand. I get why you do what you do, because Venus signs are able to understand people's intentions based upon, it's less their intention. They can gauge intentions based on their value, on what another individual values. See, Libras do it with other people's values. They can see other people's values. That's why they're good at kind of knowing relationships and how to deal. They can pinpoint somebody's intentions or what they're trying to do, and whether or not they belong in their life based upon what their intentions are. It's looking at their intentions like, okay, I see, or their values. That's what it was, not intentions, but their values. It's like, oh, okay, this person values this, that, and the third. Therefore, they'll probably engage with life in this kind of way based upon what they value and what they show me. So it makes sense to let them in on this, right? A Libra is doing that outward. A Taurus is doing that inward. A Virgo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Pisces is doing that outward. A Cancer is doing that inward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Virgo is doing that inward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Taurus is doing that outward. A Virgo is doing that inward. A Cancer is doing that outward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Taurus is doing that outward. A Virgo is doing that inward. A Cancer is doing that outward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Taurus is doing that outward. A Virgo is doing that inward. A Cancer is doing that outward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Taurus is doing that outward. A Virgo is doing that inward. A Cancer is doing that outward. A Leo is doing that outward. A Scorpio is doing that inward. A Taurus based upon what I value, right? I value a individual that's like this, that, and the third. So before I give myself to anybody, I'm going to sit back, watch how a person chooses to engage naturally. And then from there, I can gauge whether or not, oh, I see enough of things that I value, and then I participate. Venus with Pisces is the extreme, it's exalted. So what Venus and Pisces will do is, if this individual, if I can sense that it's kind of like both in a way, but it's like if I can sense values in general that agree with my values, then I'm going to come up with an imagination, or there's going to be, like on the extreme end where you're overindulging, I'm going to come up with my own imagination of what it could be. But it's like, you go too far in that. This is why, this is that overindulging, just natural Pisces delusion base come from. It's like, oh, I sense values being participated with in general, and if I feel a connection to the values that you are choosing to whether show me, or maybe I can sense it, because that's where it gets fucked up, because it's more like dealing with senses and dealing with feelings and things that aren't necessarily in reality, right? That's where it goes too far. But if I can sense it, then boom, okay, yeah, boom, you know what I'm saying? And the proper way to do it is to be able to connect to that on an emotional level, and then have a level of understanding. So it's like kind of being able to kind of get it, anything that somebody throws at you, you're able to kind of understand, you're able to kind of get a grasp on that, but you don't add on too many different imaginations and delusions based upon your shit. And also from the creative end, being able to sense values in general, and what's actually, what the connection needs in order for the whole, everything to vibe, in order for everything to harmonize. So that in general is the idea, like that in essence is music, you know what I'm saying? Being able to be in a realm of just knowing what's pleasant, and not even always what's pleasant, but knowing what pleasantly goes together in harmony, you know what I'm saying? What's putting together a rhythm, almost a flow of life, so this is the type of shit that Venus deals with in the Pisces area. But that's the good side, because then it becomes creative. You're able to engage with your environment in a way in which you can truly be the person who has everything that everybody needs. It's the chameleon energy to the extreme. It's like, I got what everybody needs, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, by default, see, if you're doing it the positive way, people pour back into you, because you emit value and you receive value. So this is the benefit of it. But see, it goes extreme when you overindulge, or you get too lost in your own imagination based upon, too clinged on to your ideal scenario, where when you start to deal with ideals and you get too idealistic, you start to set expectations to on other individuals. And I seen this TikTok, but I ain't gonna lie, it's a for all the dumb shit that's on that app, I like that. I like how it flows, because you do come across like, I feel like you come across more real people, like, or people being themselves, than different other apps. Like Instagram is all about the look, Twitter is all about the joke or the argument or whatever, and TikTok is cool because at the end of the day, right, when you get beyond all the trends and bullshit, it be people being themselves, or willing to just do some shit or say some true shit. But my point, I heard somebody say this, and they said, when you have expectations of other individuals, this is you setting goals for them. And that's an interesting concept to me, because I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Think about that shit. If you out here, how crazy do it sound, you setting a goal for another individual? That don't make any kind of sense, because it's like, you don't know. And then the way they broke it down was like, you only know what you are capable of doing. So when you talking to somebody else, you don't know what they're capable of. Even if they show you certain different things, you really never know what another individual is capable of until they do it, right? But that's the key to you and what your path is. You know what you're capable of. And this is where, when you set expectations for other people, you assume that they're capable of the same things you're capable of. So this is a form of projection. This is a form of putting you know what I'm saying? You're setting a goal for somebody else. And then if they don't hit those checkpoints, now you're disappointed, and you push off energies that make them feel different ways that they didn't even have nothing to do with in the beginning. So it's a cycle, right? Because that's how toxic relationships, that's a cycle that can perpetuate and create a toxic relationship, set an expectation for somebody else. And then, and see, that's the thing. And then they kind of flipped it, and it was real cool how they did. I think it was, they said, see, when you set goals for yourself and limits for yourself, these things become boundaries. And so it kind of just flipped the energy back again, where it was like, you set boundaries when you know what you're capable of and what you deserve, when you have that love and you pour it back into yourself. And when you have that strong sense of self, then it becomes more of an ebb and flow, where now it's like, what you're capable of, so you can set parameters for yourself that keep other people from crossing certain lines. And if they do cross that line, okay, now I'm justified to either go upside their head or go about my business. You feel me? And this is like, look, all this relates to better ways of engagement. You know what I'm saying? Better ways to engage with different individuals. Here come this nigga with the lawnmower and shit. I'm gonna grab my shit just in case he trying to come up this way. But for the most part, I think he is. But for the most part, that's kind of like what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about this kind of thing, right? Engaging with different individuals and choosing how you want to go about different things, it really comes down to you, going with things. You know what I'm saying? Like it all kind of comes back. But I know I went in on Venus. I kind of want to talk about even, do I want to talk about Virgo? Because let me see, with Virgo, since Venus falls, see, but I was talking about, because I did talk about the exaltation of Venus and that whole ideal and stuff like that, but I would have to think about that. But this supposed to be more so about Mars, and anyway, like, Mars anyway. Maybe I'll circle around to Venus when I get a chance, to Venus and Virgo when I get a chance, because it's the fall. So when we talk about, I was kind of talking about, Venus being with, Venus dealing with different things in the form of, being able to understand certain things and being able to, being understanding and being able to see where something else is valuing. I would say maybe in Virgo, it's difficult to do that, or it's because it's not that, it's kind of low point. It's kind of like sleep, in this position. So with Venus sleep here, it really comes down to Venus feeling it's almost like too tired to do it. You know what I'm saying? Almost too tired to do it, or it's easy to, because with the Virgo energy, it's about, refinement. So it's kind of like, in a way, almost like what I was just talking about with expectations. I think Pisces and Virgos kind of deal with expectations in a sense, because for the most part, it's the energy of, kind of going back and forth with yourself, right? Going back and forth with yourself, setting goals for another individual. So seeing how you would do something and then wanting to help. With the Virgo end, though, it's just, it ends up helping a little too much, or helping in a way that is maybe practical, but not as harmonizing, not as smooth, not as willing to kind of understand where you're coming from. They just want to help in their own way. Now, it's a mutable earth sign, so with the mutable energy, it is trying to understand process. It's trying to understand your process, but it comes from a more critical state point, where it's not actually caring about how you feel about it, maybe, but it wants to help. And its way of helping is by pointing out what's not working, by looking at things and being like, well, this is the energy, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of playing like that, you know what I'm saying, where, because it's at the fallen state, it doesn't quite get it. Oh, like, I'm just trying to help in the most practical way possible, but I care, you know what I'm saying? I care about it. I understand, they have that understanding, but they might not understand. They just more saying like, I understand it don't work. You know what I'm saying? I might not understand why you have whatever meaning or reasoning you have as to why it doesn't work. I don't really care to hear that, but I understand it doesn't work in general. So I'll give you something to help, you know what I'm saying? But see, that doesn't always get received the best due to, you know what I'm saying, Venus falling there. So that's really the essence of that energy. But yeah, let's get back to Mars, and then we'll talk about Jupiter and Aries a little bit. So with Mars, you know, that's what it's about. It's about engagement. And so, you know, you learn so many different things through conflict that you can't learn anywhere else. And with Jupiter and Aries, that's what's happening right now. You know, in the last video I was talking about us having to have courage at this time. Like, that's key right now, like courage. And the courage is of your own experience, your ability to set a proper intention for your goals. And you know, you actually having the willpower to get up and figure it out, you know, and engage with not only life, but engage with the conflict of life, engage with the resistance of you not really knowing what you doing foot to the T, but you had the balls to get up and try. You had the balls to get up and just put it out there. You had the strength to, you know, to go for it, and not go for it on some halfway shit, but go for it in full force. Because see, that's the thing right now. You might be trying to play yourself, like you say you want something, but when the moment comes to engage with the conflict of what you really want or what you say you want, do you step up and go for it and win and take power over it? Or do you bitch out? You know what I'm saying? Do you punk out? Do you look at the situation and you become too Venus, you too passive? Well, I understand why I might not deserve that right now. That's what you're saying inside, even if you got some other way of kind of talking about it. When you get passionate to do something and you know there's something to be done, it's a matter of, are you going to do it or not? Are you going to engage with it? Because that's the whole thing. See, engaging with things and actively engaging, this is the trick our spirit does. We have to do it our spirit, because it's like our spirit has to be, you have to be commanding this shit. So you're going to get hit with resistance. And in those moments, you're going to ask yourself, and you do it every time, am I going to engage with this thing that's in between me and my intentions and what I intend to do and what I intend to be? Am I going to engage with that shit, or am I going to let that pass because I don't feel like it right now? And when you do the I don't feel like it, see, we all got to rest. And we all justified for taking time to do what you got to do. Sometimes it ain't the time to engage. And that's just being wise about it, right? And that's kind of another thing that Jupiter and Aries is going to teach as well. It's not always wise to engage. So there's going to come times where we engage with the wrong things, or we engage in the wrong way, whether we go too passive or too aggressive. So that's just part of the lesson. That's just what we're going to have to learn. That's what we're going to expand upon. But it's got to come from, as long as, like I was saying in the beginning, if your intentions are pure, it's always going to work in your favor. Regardless, it's all about the intentions at the end of the day. So right now, you got to look at your experiences, right? And that's a lesson for Mars in general. But dealing with that's what the essence of this time teaching us is like, look, what do you intend to do with autumn dreams? What did you? And that's the thing. Jupiter just got out of Pisces, and Neptune is still there. Neptune is actually giving us more definition or more context to our dreams. It's allowing us to actually soak into our dreams, where when we sit back and we may daydream and we say we just got our dreams on our mind, Neptune is sprinkling a little something on top of that to make you excited to dream, or make that dream so much more vivid to where it can't get out your head. And that dream that keep reoccurring, right? Not necessarily one that you go to sleep and have, but one that you keep daydreaming about and you keep imagining, like, man, what if that would work? What if that could work? You know what I'm saying? See, Jupiter had all that juice because it passed through Neptune. Don't let that wisdom go to waste. That was wisdom you was accumulating. You know, people look at Jupiter as just your experiences, but you got to remember, Jupiter holds weight. Jupiter holds weight. Jupiter likes to accumulate. Now, Jupiter needs to contract every now and then, get a breath of fresh air, you know what I'm saying, go on more of the day side and get out, travel, expand, and just experience freely, and let go of the cage. But you got to remember, Jupiter has that night side. The night side, the Piscean energy is absorbing and having that wisdom and knowledge, but holding on to it to swim in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to remember, like that's part of it. Holds weight. That's when it's holding weight, and it's like, you know, kind of just getting the most it needs out of that weight until it's time to release. And when it's time to release, it's just time to go into a more free state. And see, now Jupiter itself, our experiences need to be more in that free state. But remember, we just got a lot of information, a lot of wisdom on our dreams back in when Jupiter was in Pisces, and that's still cuspy. So it's still times to go in that space. You can still go in that space. And that's literally what's happening. Think of Pisces swelled up and Aries being the contraction of that. So it's like, you know, take advantage of that, swim back and forth. And see, like I said, like again, the Mercury retrograde, it plays out kind of significant because it's right here at the head. While Jupiter, we getting more of these fresh Aries energies. We getting out of that Pisces energy. So right now it's like our mind is able to come back to us. You know what I'm saying? Like Mercury don't do well in Pisces. So right now, Gemini is helping. And the fact that it's moving into Aries, it makes the dream and all the illusion more direct. More imagination is more direct. My intentions are more to the pinpoint. You know what I'm saying? That's where Scorpio helps out Pisces, because Pisces might have so many dreams, but a Scorpio might help them pinpoint one and be like, that one, no, that one is going to get you to, like, that one's going to put everything you've been talking about in a pack. You know what I'm saying? Like strategy, adding strategy to the dream. And that's what Mars and Pisces is able to do if you kind of flip it. And how you flip it is you hold on to, it's like you gotta like really, you gotta pull your passions back to an anchor. And then with that anchor, you have to start to develop your fixated way of feeling about that anchor, right? And this is kind of like deep alchemy, because when you understand the elements, it's like you're gonna have to participate in the energy where the energy is. But say you want to do something specific with the energy in the sky, you can harness it in different ways by knowing how it works. So if you know you got Mars, the planet that correlates with Scorpio, in Pisces, right? You know that somewhere in there is a gift. Even if Mars don't necessarily like to be in Pisces due to traditional astrology, you know Mars links with Scorpio. So there's a part in there, right, where when you tap into that house and that energy in that house, you know you can access certain frequencies based upon just the planet in that space. So you know, okay, well, Mars is there. So if I take my dream, like to help with me and my dreams being all over the place, if I take my dreams and I can hone it in and almost develop a fixated portion, right? And what I do is I don't play out too much of the fixated portion. I just take that and put it to the side, make a sigil for it. Now you've captured that energy and you can refer to it whenever you need to access it. And this is how you're able to say, so once you got that, right, think about it. You write a sigil for it, you put it to the side, you write out description, you're like, okay, that's in the back of my mind. Then what? What do? You continue to participate in the energy. Okay, it's still Mars and Pisces. So you go back to that Pisces energy and you able to swim around, but see, boom, you can start to be strategic because you put these sigils together, right? And say, okay, I'm done swimming around. I'm a little confused right now. I'm not accessing that Mars and Pisces. Whenever that shit gets turbulent, you have something to refer back to that keeps you on track. And it's an alignment, it's a gift almost that you can use to keep you from being too off track based upon what kind of, and this is specifically for like Mars and Pisces, but think about this with different elements and different signs and things of that nature. You can kind of do different things, but you have to know how these energies interact with each other in order to do it the right way. Because if you do it the wrong way, say you were to not make a sigil, but just think that, okay, I'm just gonna hone in on this fixated feeling. No, that's not the energy you're supposed to be in. It's still Mars and Pisces. You still need to be able to expand and connect to different things and develop understanding based upon, you know, different levels of engagement, because we're dealing with Mars still. But yeah, different levels of engagement. And so yeah, yeah, and understand, you know, shit goes deep. Like it's crazy. I never thought I'd be making astrology videos for real, but I love to just kind of talk about it because, you know, it's just interesting sometimes. But Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And so, when it comes to Jupiter and Aries, keep that in mind. So to finish out my point, it's linking up with Mercury going in retrograde is significant because the retrograde Mercury is like really fucking with us. It's really helping us because it's like helping you rethink things, rethink your intentions, like rethink your intentions, but not just intentions from see, that's the key right there. Like that's another key. Look, Mercury is going to be squaring Mars. There's a learning there. You're learning about your intentions again. You're relearning about your intentions again. That's the square. That's what's going to be causing a little friction. But Mercury is going to be sextiling Jupiter and Aries and Venus and Aries. But with Jupiter and Aries, think about your intentions when it comes to your rethinking your intentions when it comes to your experiences and life path in general. And once you start to iron out and take the opportunity to figure out what your intentions is in general, it'll be easier to learn how to apply and engage, like how to engage with your situation, learning that square that makes more sense. You're able to rethink and reanalyze how you engage with your life based upon you knowing where your actual point and intention is in the first place. And that right there is some powerful shit because now you actually steering your spaceship in the proper way. You actually, now you have a life goal, and then on top of that, also rethinking values about it. And Venus being right there. So it's like, it's almost going to be able to, and then Chiron being there, being able to tap into past mistakes to have context, more context for why meanings and reasonings, why I should shift my intentions in this way. And then all that energy is also squaring Pluto retrograde. So deep transformations that's actually adding more emphasis to these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything is getting, like I said in the other video, this is like a massive upgrade period. And it's really a beautiful time. It's a very highly frustrating, maybe even nerve-wracking time, but there's a lot of beautiful things being done behind the scenes if you're willing to do the work and you're willing to actually commit to improving your life. You could really upgrade yourself and take and all of this is going to accelerate when we get into Gemini season. So you're really, you're getting in on it early and you're going to be extra prepared. And it's just, I love just the idea of where you could be if you just put yourself in the right space, right? And how fast life actually does end up changing for you, because it always just baffles me. Like you be in one space and you just shift your mind and boom, you in another space. Like, and as you progress through life and you expand, you see this shit work time and time again. It's like, and when you start to really co-create, it's like co-creating with the universe. When you start to really do that and really manifest shit, you start to just really, it's a cool vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's a real cool vibe. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate everybody, man, for just watching, for just existing, being yourself, man. Let's keep doing this shit and let's keep being great. Much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.